clients.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to call the meeting to order at 6 o'clock. And welcome to the Library Building Committee meeting. First thing, I want to welcome Sharon Gentles Harris, otherwise known as Sharon G.H., okay, who is Nancy's assistant. She isn't going to fill in for Nancy while Nancy is on administrative leave. So thank you, Sharon, for being here.
Yes, I'll do my best.
All right, we've got old business approval of minutes from May 29th.
So moved.
We have movement to approve by Mr. Ike. Do we have a second?
Second. No.
Second by Mr. Berman.
One correction.
Corrections
I
and
know.
et cetera.
Under item 7, legislative meeting is 6:26 and 7:10.
Right.
It should be 6:12, 6:26, 7:10. Can you
Yeah.
add 6:12 in there?
Right.
Yeah. That was the same comment I thought. Thank you.
Any other comments, corrections? If not, if you are in favor of approving minutes as amended, please signify by saying aye.
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 It is unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. New business. Let us start with our construction manager. Anthony is here from Downs, and I see Scott is here from Downs.
Johnny's on
And
vacation.
Johnny's on vacation. Okay, he's a smart guy. Anthony.
All right, let
Floor is yours.
me share my screen. Standard agenda as usual. We'll go down the list here, project updates, and some construction schedule items, and then we'll finish up with our photos. First item here, subcontract permit update, fire protection permits remain open. We did get the engineer's stamp. We'll be able to finalize that in the next coming week or two. And that should take us to the end here. We could close out this section. Item B, just a general update. This first bullet here, exterior wall mock-up will commence. We do have the brick, the cast stone, and the flashing details ready to start. We're gonna get that over as we build it. We're gonna get TSKP's review and input on it. This will be basically, as we progress into construction, this will be utilized as a tool to help trades on site to reference and detail, interior walls, what it needs to look like, because the devils are in the details with these type of projects. I just want to give you an update there. Cross or structural steel continues to be erected on the northeast side with columns and beams. Structural steel along the west side has been detailed and plumbed for levelness. We are true over there. They did snap the bolts. They plumbed them up. This allows us to install the metal decking, which is the next item below, which has been installed on the first level and second level of the west side of the building. When I say west side of the building, that's the area above the parking garage located around the Washbrook side of things. The decking has also been mechanically fastened. Sometimes there's two different types of details on a construction project. Sometimes there's welding of the decking down to the steel beams, and sometimes it's mechanically fastened. Here we have it mechanically fastened at a specific pattern deemed necessary by the engineer of record. We are reviewing with Tri-State to come out and start doing their level of testing, third-party inspections, as well as MHA. Once the steel is all up and plumbed, they will come out there. The glue lam wood beams are being installed along with the steel items on the northwest side of the building, which is great to see. They look fantastic. The crane location, right now it's currently at the north end of the building. We are going to remobilize it to the south side. And with this last mobilization of the crane, we'll be able to take care of the canopy steel and that second level steel as well. Once that's done, we will be all at the top of the building with the roof decking. So the slab on grade, and I should say the slab on deck, metal decking is different from the roof decking. You'll be able to see that in the profile sizes if you guys do go outside and take a look at it when that time comes. Steel and wood deliveries, again, are continuing. Steel should be slowing up shortly. We do have a couple of deliveries left for the glue lamp beams accordingly. They are being worked out with Berlin Steel and South County, who is our fabricator of these glue lamp beams. With that being said, since we were able to install the decking and tighten it down and plumb that west side of the building, we are able to work safely like gentlemen and ladies underneath. So this will allow us to multitask with finishing up the underground plumbing and the underground electrical work. We started it before as much as we can before the steel started erecting. Now that Berlin Steel has moved on pretty much to the east side and the decking is all set, we're going to be able to sneak in there and complete that work. That being said, anybody have any questions? Prosser.
Just wanted to ask you about the all those beautiful wood beams going in. It's great. They will be exposed to the weather.
Yeah, they currently.
And I assume that's a standard practice. How does that work?
So we did talk to them on site today. Emmett, who's the project manager. They do come wrapped in plastic. During the erection process, they have to remove the plastic to get the bolts on. It is fully removed. We asked Emmett, what level of protection to the weather. It does have coating and it does have stain that's water resistant on it. With that being said, once that erection is done, the blocking's laid down and the roof deck goes on top of that, we will be protecting it through the regular course of construction. But right now,
can I add? Sorry, can I add to that?
Yeah, when he's done, Jeff.
Okay.
With that being said, he says, right now exposed to the elements will not harm that glue lamp. What would harm it is if, even though if we did perforate the plastic, there would be some level of moisture buildup in there that won't be able to be removed. That could be detrimental to the glue lamp and finishes on it. So it's better to keep it unwrapped and exposed, and we'll get a top on it, with the metal decking, and we'll protect it through the course of construction.
Jeff?
Yeah, we had the wrap pulled back on the ends and they sliced the bottom to allow for any condensation to breathe at Mansfield. And I know it was in the winter time, but yeah, I would think about finding some way to protect that because I don't want any staining on those glue lamps.
Right, and they reassured us, Jeff, they do this a million times. South County, this is what they do. They're well versed in this, and they said the best bet is to leave it uncovered, and we will protect it after that blocking goes on and the decking goes on through the course of construction.
Yeah, and Jeff, you can get staining wrapping it too, frankly, out in the elements because it'll condensate inside, and they've warned us about that. They prefer to see the wrap off it actually, even when it's out in the elements because of the finishes that they have on it. So we understand.
How long is that process before it gets recovered or
As soon as the metal decking goes on, once they
Yeah,
get
I
it,
just-
probably another
oh,
week. But, anything that's not hanging yet is still on the ground. It will be covered. It comes covered, wrapped in a truck, and so on and so forth. Once they take it out here, they take it off. No matter how much you slice the plastic and perforate it, there's still moisture that could get caught up somewhere in that plastic. And he says that's actually more detrimental than keeping it exposed for a couple weeks at a time.
cool.
Other questions for Anthony so far? He's got more to go. Sharon, I can't see everybody up here. If you can let me know if anybody, if you can see everyone. If you tell me if any hands are up.
I will.
Okay. Thank you. All right,
All
Anthony.
right, moving on, Riley, current Riley.
Allison has her hand up.
Oh, Allison.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to let you know, Chris Grant said that she didn't get the link to the Zoom. I sent her mine just now via email, but I don't know if my link will work for her. So I just want to give you a heads up. She might be joining a few minutes late.
Yeah, I did get an email and I just sent it to her again, but I thought it was a standard invite that was out there.
Should
Perfect,
be- should
okay.
be, should be.
But I just resent it to her also.
Okay, good,
Can
good. Thank
make
you.
sure make sure Abby has one too. I don't see her joining yet.
I see her here. You don't see her, Jeff? She's here.
I'm here.
She's waving.
Oh, she is okay.
I hear.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Anthony.
moving on to the Riley side of things. Currently, still being used for material laydown area. We have some steel lintels from our mason that are going to be dropped off next week and laid down over there. I know GeoQuest was on site this week for additional soil, last week for additional testing of that soils pile on the Riley site. They do believe that we might be able to lose about 1,000 yards of that stockpile. It might be able to go out as clean. So we're hoping for that. That will reduce the amount of soil over there. The DEP has been in contact with GeoQuest. They've been trying to work on facilities moving forward that will be able to take this. The DEP did understand that, you know, this came underneath asphalt and a driveway and a parking lot. So we would try to figure out if Tilcon or O&G, some sort of civil conglomerate, would be able to take that and use it underneath any roads that they're currently putting in. Right now, they aren't able to accept it just because of the surplus that they do have. We did contact Clean Earth, who's right in Plainville, Connecticut, right down the road from Manafort. They did say, compared to the prices that we have been seeing, they would take this soil away at $62 a ton as compared to $148 a ton, so to speak. With that being said, we wouldn't accrue any cost at this point, is what I'm thinking, for Manafort for trucking. I mean, it's right in Plainville. They were supposed to dispose of this and remove it as it was, if it was clean regardless. So we shouldn't have to pay for that trucking. And now that we found someplace that's located very local to them, shouldn't be any issue. Now, the only thing that, you know, we might run into an issue is if we do find a facility, let's say in Massachusetts. Now they're going to say, well, we got to drive all the way up to Massachusetts and X amount of dollars to do that on top of what that disposal charge may be from a facility in Massachusetts. So we're still kind of spinning our gears here a little bit, but you know, it would be nice to lose at least 1,000 cubic yards of this stuff to go out clean. In the meantime, GeoQuest is continuing to work with the contact that Lois gave us for the DEP and come up with any other suggestions here on at this point. Tri-State, again, we're going to be running a sieve analysis on this sub-base material. We wanted to try and use it at the parking lot, bringing that parking lot up on the right side of foot to lose that material on site. But, you know, talking to Lois and you know, the impacted soil that it is, you know, it would be the best bet in nature for the town to fully remove this from the site and start fresh. All right. Going down to the last bullet here, the bridge abutment on Riley has been excavated. We're going to get Acronym or concrete subcontractor in there to start forming, placing rebar, and pour the concrete. We do have some additional work in there to take care of with some flowable fill due to the existing soil conditions. That was on the latest report, field report provided by Max Welty and his company. So we're looking into that with Manafort and the design team as we speak. That's all I have for
Riley. Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anthony, real quick.
Yeah.
Is that dirt holding up any work from being done on Riley? I mean,
Not yet.
not yet.
Not yet, but soon. I wish we could have got it out of there yesterday. But, you know, right now, we want to make sure it is going out to the right facility and this is facilitated to the right way because it is a DEP, it's an environmental concern.
Yeah.
I want to thank Lois for helping our consultants at GeoQuest get in touch with the right people at DEP. Thank you, Lois, for doing that. They are of help. So that's important for us to do the right thing.
More people that have any contacts or know of anybody to help facilitate this, the better.
And it looks like, unfortunately, we may be looking at some extra dollars to ultimately get rid of this,
But right
a
now,
lot of questions, so
that's
we answered.
at $62, that's, you know, the lowest I've found, which is. So.
Any other questions for Anthony at this point? Sharon, any hands up?
No.
Okay,
All right, moving
you
down.
may continue.
Well, I'm sorry, I just had one question. And you might have said it, how many tons of dirt is it?
You want to do some math for us, Elizabeth?
Yeah, right now, it's between 35 and 4,000 cubic yards. So the factor, Elizabeth, on that is you take that 3,500, multiply it by a factor of 1.4, and that gives you the tons. Then you multiply the tons by $62, which is the cheapest price that we found so far, as compared to, let's say, $130, $140, $50 a ton.
But we have some allowances in the contract for this.
Yeah, we have $10,000 left from Manafort. We established $41,000 in their contract originally for the impacted soils that we knew about that were called out on the documents. And another, I think it was $60,000 established in our GMP for this time.
So when you look at the site, it's the piles on the back of the site, that's what we're talking about?
On Riley, yeah, that is correct.
Yeah.
Because originally, per the contract documents, all that material was supposed to be clean. So with that being said, as soon as Manafort excavated it out from underneath the parking lot and the foundation of the building, they would have trucked it right out of there then and there. But knowing that it needed to be tested and it needed to find the characterizations of it to take it to a local facility, it came across that it has more chemicals, let's call it, in it, or impacted pollutants in it than the clean documents show.
Okay, well, that's great that you're able to find a more affordable rate.
Absolutely, we're still digging. We got a little bit of time, but again,
Intended.
Digging is the right word.
yes, no pun intended, like Mark said.
Well, I did the reverse math on that, so I took our $10,000 divided by assuming it's $62. We could take out 161.29 tons, I guess.
We have 10,000 plus 60,000.
Oh.
We have 70,000.
Oh,
We have
so-
70,000 available in the budget right now to put against this.
So
Oh,
let's
wow,
say
okay.
you have, let's say at the end of the day, you have 2,800 cubic yards times 1.4 times 62, and that's your dollar value minus 70, so to speak.
Okay. Oh, then maybe it'll work.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty, item C, requisitions, change order proposal, COPs. Just a status update on June 2024. It's currently being assembled. I have asked all our subcontractors to get them in early because I am on vacation from June 25th to July 11th. All right.
So we've heard.
Next section, budget and pending COPs, just an update, COP 7B. We were showing a credit of $883. Going back and forth with our subcontractors and vetting out through our structural steel subcontractor. We got that bit back up to what I originally projected was 5,000, a little bit more than that. That's $6,125. We are waiting for Berlin Steel to substantiate a material tonnage cost on the 1,500 pounds or so of steel that was removed from the work. COP 15 added independent support for the sunshades, still showing $17,000. We are waiting pricing submission by our glass and glazing subcontractor. I know their shop drawings that went from the 10-inch down to the 7 just recently got approved. They're running that, finalizing it through their engineer at this point in time, and they've actually released material accordingly based on that revised shop drawing that Jeff and his team reviewed in a timely manner for us, expedited fashion to get that material released, knowing that profile change. COP 17, just still tracking this, the MDC encroachment. Again, we're in-house reviewing contract scope items and contracts with Manafort. We're going through that talk and that review process with them. That was due to the MDC and the requirement for the slide rail system. Official COPs that I like to review and just to talk about tonight for committee approval are these 5 listed below. And I guess we'll go one by one. First one is the COP 9, which was the structural steel clarifications. It was for our consultant KLS. Back in the day, we went back and forth with TSKP on this. At the end of the day, it's going to be a zero cost to the budget. We are applying it to our CM contingency, and what's going to be applied to our CM contingency is $2,030, and that is COP number 9.
Questions?
I'll put it on the table. I'll move approval of change order.
Second.
For 9.
Seconded by Mr. Ike. Thank you. Discussion? Questions? Any hands up there, Sharon?
Yes.
No hands.
No.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion to approve COP number 9, in the net amount of 0. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is unanimous, thank you. Next.
All right, COP 21. This was the tree removal at Washbrook. That would be in the way of the bridge as well as rigging safely to install the bridge. Again, this is going to be a zero cost to the overall budget of the project, and we are applying $3,700 to our CM contingency. It's 3712, I believe, actually.
Right.
I'll move approval of change order proposal number 21.
Second.
Mr. Berman, seconded by Mr. Ike. Thank you very much. Discussion, questions? Lois?
You're gonna cut back the trees to a fairly low level, leaving the root system,
We're going to leave the stumps there, correct?
and that's to help support the bank.
That is to help support the bank, correct?
And what will you replace it with? Is there a landscape plan
There is
that includes support for the bank?
no, we were directed, per Richter Seegan, that leaving the stumps and root systems and vegetation, the low-lying vegetation there on that bank will support it,
So you're comfortable with that?
based on what they're telling us.
Thank you.
Other questions or discussion on the motion? Okay. All in favor of approving change order proposal number 21, again, a net of 0, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Okay, we are unanimous. Is that Jesse that joined us? Thank you, Jesse. All right.
Yes,
next.
it is.
COP 22, this is a back charge for cast-in bolts, I should say, bolts, washers, and nuts from our concrete subcontractor. The cost of the work is going to be taken away from Acronom as a price and with an adjusted price to Berlin Steel, our subcontractor. Again, this is a net value of 0 to the project.
I'll move approval of change order proposal number 12.
Second.
22.
22.
22.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Berman, seconded by Mr. Ike. Thank you very much. Questions, discussion? Okay, so we've got one trade paying another to take care of this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know the question was asked is how do you hold a trade responsible for, incorrect work or have you, and this is one of the type of ways we facilitate, that type of process. COP 23.
Can I have a vote?
Hold on.
Can I vote? Sorry. Okay, all in favor of approving change order proposal number 22, net 0, please signify by saying aye.
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 And we are unanimous. All right, thank you. Next.
Right, COP 23. This is a cost of $2,152 for a material upcharge for the acoustical wall panel fabric and color. The design team spec'd the fabric and color that got changed during the submittal sample review process to a more premium grade, different color. We did get a cost, this is strictly material upcharge cost. No labor stays the same. In a PR, again, it's just for a upgraded fabric color and fabric actual premium fabric type. Jeff, I'm going to turn this over to you for further explanation and detail.
So when I handed the submittal over to our interiors, basically the bottom, this is for the community room acoustical panels. And to get a closer match to the wood in there, and it's a little better, denser, higher quality product, we're going with the Dubelex Spinel here in lieu of the one that we originally were going to have. A little better quality, the Spinel, and the color is a better match according to Jeanette in our interiors. So this is what she preferred aesthetically and quality wise. So that's why we ended up doing it. I talked to Tai Su about it. He agreed. So that's why we're doing this.
Thanks, Jeff. I know how you hate spending our money, so I know it's a recommended.
Yeah,
recommended change.
yeah, but it's a better, I think for the client, for you guys, I think it's actually much better, so.
Okay,
I'll
do we
move,
have a motion?
I'll move approval change order proposal number 23.
All right, thank you, Mr. Berman. Second by Mr. Ike. Any other comments or questions? Lois?
This sounds like another one of those things that we might have known about before, we selected something. Does this happen regularly?
Well, I don't know all the facts, but I do know that this company, let me just pull this card out. Guilford of Maine, they have a number, they have a bunch of different lines. And it often happens that sometimes a line is pulled, a new one is outdated, or it's more current. So, with all these companies, especially in the interiors, things change and happen all the time. So rather than getting stuck with one that the naming change and it's a different quality, we know the material and the product that we want. So if it's an upcharge for $2,000, we all thought that at this point in the game, it's probably worth it.
So the other one is no longer available or harder to get, or?
No,
Let me
it
answer
is.
that, Jeff. This is Abby here. Sometimes manufacturers go through a whole recoloring process of their materials. And when we come up with a color palette, we usually try to stay up to date. But through the course of time, some mills might have problems and they might close, or some colors might have some issues. So they go through a recoloring process. And the color that we wanted from that particular line was no longer available. So I think Jeanette and Taisu then selected the next best. Actually, this is a better fabric than what we originally had, and the color worked very well with everything else that's happening in the community room.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving change order proposal number 23 in the amount of $2,152, please signify by saying
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
aye. Unanimous.
No, no.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lois, I thought you.
I'm a no.
Any nays?
No.
Lois is no. Thank you.
I would have hoped
Motion.
that the architect
Motion
would
passes.
have paid for this.
We are not entitled to an upgrade or a penalty by the architect's actions. So
Feels like a penalty.
if we're getting a better product, then it's our product to own and we pay for it. So, but I respect your vote. Motion passes. Next, please.
Last one, COP 24. This is again a back charge for incorrect inkable placement on F3.6 column line. Again, it's between our concrete subcontractor and our steel subcontractor. Zero hit to the contract, to the project budget.
I move approval for change order proposal number 24.
Moved by
Second.
Mr. Berman, second by Mr. Ike. Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Another case of one trade paying another for this. Okay, all in favor then, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Very unanimous. Thank you.
All right, last but not least, progress photos.
We like pictures.
All right, so this first one, total amount, we shouldn't say for today, but structural steel that has been installed. Right, this date should have changed. This should be from our last committee meeting, which was when, I think, back at the end of May. So 5:30, not the 6:12, okay? So this is structural steel installation looking towards the north. This is the first and second floor being erected as we speak. Our backs are towards Mountain Avenue, looking to the north. Right. Next picture we have here, and let me know if I need to zoom in for everybody online, make sure everybody can see it clearly. Structural steel installation towards the west, looking towards Washbrook. First and second floor being erected. We have some beams tied in to the left, and we have some columns that are standing up here on the right-hand side. As we continue with steel and detailing and everything fitting, the steel decking was being placed on the first floor. This is looking to the southwest corner of the Riley and Mountain Ave side. Steel decking, this type of steel decking right now will support a concrete slab. Like I said before, as you move up to the roof deck is actually a different type of product. Concrete decking is different than the roofing product. All right, the roofing product is a little bit, not to say lighter, but it doesn't have any concrete. You're going to have a roofing insulation board plus the membrane. Okay.
How do they attach that, Anthony? Those-
Hilti mechanically fastened with a big gun. You can hear it. It's like. So next time you're out there, or
Yeah.
you can probably hear them shooting this decking down. Again, the decking, you know, there's a certain overlap of the decking when they have certain pieces. There's a different type of pattern that the decking bolts need to be shot down with. That's all part of the engineering, engineer record MHA puts in their documents.
And the roof decking is sufficient to hold the solar, we've got all of that.
Oh, yeah, yep. We have all the steel up there. Roof decking, that shouldn't affect anything. All right. Going down the list here, steel decking again, another shot being placed on the first floor looking toward the southwest to Riley and Washbrook. This is just a different view of what we just saw up there. Structural steel being installed at the garage level and above it on the first floor. Existing light pole that you see in the picture will be removed by Eversource shortly. I know that was one of the things Nancy was working on prior to. I know we do have a purchase order number in with them. We're just trying to get them out here to actually remove it. Here's a picture with Tungus Ave to my back. We're looking at the glue lamb going in along with the rest of the structural on the ground level and upper levels. As we continue to work our way down, those glue lambs will be sequentially placed and installed. And once that happens, we'll be putting blocking on top of those glue lambs, and then on top of that, you'll see the steel decking. Right now, as you can see in this picture, we have the steel decking that has been installed above the garage. This allows us to install our underground plumbing and electrical work. We're going to finish that up. While Manafort, you could see, or not Manafort, Berlin Steel is going to be working on that east side of the building with the church steeple there in the backside. That's where we'll be rigging. So the total amount of steel, as you can see here, that first picture that I put up there was on 530. Everything here in red, first floor framing, second floor framing has been installed. As you can see here, we have 3 green lambs. We actually finished them up today. But right now, this is where we are for completion with steel.
Great. All right. You good?
I am done.
Questions for Anthony before we lose him? Any hands up there, Sharon?
No.
Good. All right. Anthony and Scott, thank you very much.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. I did put Glenn Garrity on the agenda. I don't see him here with us, but I think it's something we want to get in the habit of anyway. So we're getting updates on the McMahon piece of the project. I can tell you, I know that their Public Works is putting together the remaining bid packages in accordance with what has been shared with our union representatives. They're very happy about how it's proceeding. The key there for us in general is once all these packages are assembled, is getting the overall schedule from Glenn and Public Works. We're still not quite sure when all that's going to be released, when we're going to be buying, what the construction schedule is. So hopefully we'll have answers to that very, very soon because that impacts a lot of things. But I know that's what Public Works is working on at this time. And that was my intention for that agenda item.
I
Yes,
just saw that invoice was being cut for the roof replacement, so I things are moving there.
Okay. Very good.
Not the full 139 that was in the budget, but about
Okay. You know, by rights, this is all project money. And I know Public Works is handling this. It will be appropriate for those invoices to come to this committee. I think as a formality for approval. We should be
Let them know,
approving all
yeah.
of those release of funds. Okay, questions before we move on to our architect? Okay, we've got.
Yeah, thank you. Hot lists are continuing. Submittals, RFIs are moving and grooving. Can you hear me?
We're good.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. We were going to have a technology meeting today, but Mark D'Agostino had something that he had to attend to personally. So we're rescheduling for either tomorrow or sometime this week to go through the questions that Mark had and Chris's thorough review and responses to some of those questions. The lead online data input is ongoing as well. I just have one other question for Anthony and Scott, is would it make sense to somehow get some protection during the rain time for those glue lamps? And if not, do you have a plan for if there is any staining caused by any of this stuff with it being unprotected? Is there a plan in place? What do you think you need to do, if anything?
At this point in time with Jeff, with what South County is telling us, that there should be no need for this. I mean, we asked what the longest exposure to these glue lamps, and they said there's really no time frame on it, honestly. What I could do is request a sort of maybe a repair plan for procedure, and I think it would also help just in case if we do get any nicks by accident with the trades throughout the course of construction to the end. It would be nice to see just a repair plan or products that they use for any nicks that may happen, that may occur. But right now, they're telling us in full confidence that, you know, this stuff could stay exposed for quite some time without being affected.
So they're confident, you guys are all confident that you're not worried about any staining or any water leaking from the steel into the joints where the bolts are and rusting the glue lamp? Any water in there?
I asked that question to Emmett as well today.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
those are, it's galvanized. Jeff, if you're really concerned, maybe we could just set up a phone call with South County and yourself.
Yeah, let's do that.
Why don't we
I'd
do
love to,
that?
yeah.
You
Okay.
know, the easier mind.
Yeah, that's true. I'm with you on it, but I'm just nervous,
I get it.
I'm a little nervous.
I get it.
They are beautiful though. They're absolutely, if you see them in person, they're absolutely stunning, honestly. It's awesome. Awesome to see.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we keep them that way, that's all. Okay, so other than that, I think Abby had some things to discuss, so I'll turn it over to Abby, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Questions for Jeff? No? Okay, Abby?
All right, I am going to present a revised FF&E schedule for Praso project. As we all know, there has been a revision in the schedule, the construction schedule, which has now pushed the FF&E schedule a little further down. But I wanted to make sure everybody's aware of what's happening. Jeanette O'Connell is the one actually working on this, and I'm just representing her tonight. But I can walk you through this schedule. Initially, I think we had oh, wait a second. Let me share my screen. All right, are you able to see my screen?
We're good, Abby, thank you.
All right. So we are in the process of doing the FF&E packages, and we've had multiple meetings with the library staff already. But I think now that the end date is moved a little, we went back and revised quite a few things. So we initially were going to present to the building committee for approval to proceed with the specs on, I think, during the June 26th meeting. But now we will push it to the July 10th meeting, which gives us a little extra time, but also it works better for the schedule. So we are still discussing the procurement methods. We can either bid or purchase through state contract. We might even do a combination of both, depending on what final products we end up specifying. But for now, we'd like to consider that this project, the FF&E is probably going to be bid, which will take the longest time. So if, say, we get the approval from the committee on July 10th, we can technically go out to bid or send out all our RFQs by October 21st. And once the bids come in and we do a review and then we present all our findings at on the November 27th meeting. And by just before Christmas, we'd like to get all the purchase orders issued, which will give us about 18 to 19 weeks for the FF&E installation to happen the week of May 8th. And we typically like to give about 2 to 3 weeks for the entire installation process for FF&E. That way, all the vendors, and this is a large project, so we can have multiple vendors. We don't want anybody stepping on each other's toes, so it's nicer to have more time and spread everybody out. And we will do a walkthrough, an acceptance walkthrough, make sure everything is done correctly. And we are hoping by the end of May next year, all the furniture will be in place, which means that will be followed up with the technology equipment set up and the staff move-in, which will happen soon after. We don't have exact dates for when the library is intended to open officially, or when the staff will be moving in. If there are such dates available, we can certainly keep that in mind and in consideration and revise the schedule if need be. But this is what we're looking at for the Prosser FF&E for now. Any questions?
Questions for Abby on the Prosser schedule? Lois?
Is it necessary to have nothing happening in the month of April? I was sort of hoping it could be moved back a little. The FF&E deliveries and installation into April.
It's not that nothing is happening, it's just the lead time. So once we release the purchase orders, say at the end of the year, we're going to need at least 4 months, during which time all the items are going to be in production. So technically, we are not personally doing much, but there will still be some amount of shop drawings and submittals to be reviewed during that time. So I wouldn't say that nothing is happening in April, but
it's all being produced. They're not things that are already ready. They're things that are being built.
We typically do. If the construction is phased, we can ask for the FF&E deliveries to be phased also. But because the construction is expected to end, I think sometime in April, like the end of April, we give a little time in case there are any last minute things to be done. We expect the interior spaces to be move-in ready, meaning all the carpets, the flooring, everything is in place, everything is cleaned, and the driveways are paved. Usually, sometimes the driveways probably take the longest time or come in towards the end of the project. And if the driveways are not done or they're still being paved, the delivery and installation crew cannot come into the building easily. So those are certain things we'll be working out during that time. So even if the products are ready, we like to schedule this and work very closely with the construction team. And we typically like to get all the FF&E vendors in at around the same time so that we will be able to do all our punch lists and within that time period. So we allocate that time for us to be able to work on this also. Does that answer?
Abby, it looks like you also have that last sentence that the GC will need to provide padding and floor protection, so they're gonna need some time to do that.
Right, right.
And I
Typically,
guess-
that is expected.
Well, when you say the elevator will have wall padding in it already. Floor protection, I mean, we take all
We're
that.
gonna
up,
discuss that, Scott.
Yeah, we take all that up to clean all the floors, and then, it's FF&E's responsibility afterwards. But, we should really talk about that and dive into that in the owners meeting.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll discuss that.
Yeah, yeah. And
definitely.
Abby, if we could get a copy of this schedule, that would be awesome.
Sure.
I sent it to Anthony, I sent it to everybody today.
Oh, you did? All right, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't know if I
it's,
CC'd you.
I will
Anthony has
add-
it for sure.
Yeah, Anthony's got a,
I just got a quick question, Jeff and Abby. I know our last schedule update pushed it out, the project out until April, but we're trying to, it's kind of a moving target because we want to accelerate where we can to bring the project back in onto that March 7th date. So if we all look
That's
at.
why Anthony, I sent you that email with the schedule saying that I did that intentionally so that we're all talking about this. So as soon as we know, as we're shaping it, we give direct feedback to Abby and her crew so that we're all talking the same language with the timing.
Right on. You took the words right out of my mouth, Jeff. Thank you.
yeah, so Abby, we just want to be able to speed this up if, Gunnels gets the building ready a little sooner, so.
Okay,
as
just,
we go
I want you
forward,
to
just-
understand that, this is a process of work that is involved. So the sooner we know a concrete date, the better. That way we know how much time we have and we can work accordingly, because, to suddenly change the schedule can become a real problem, and we all want to finish this project nicely and smoothly. So, if you can get us a date, a much better firm date quickly, that I'd appreciate that much.
Great. Sean?
We also need to factor in the commissioning at the end. And they talk about the full building flush with Cynthia from LE, from the lead points. So we just need to keep that in conversation as well.
Yeah, there's some time in there for that too. Yes, Sean, that's right.
Yeah, a lot of things happening at the end. Clark, have your hand up?
I was questioning the time period for furniture bid docs and specs. It's the month of August, half of July and a week in October. It seems like an awfully long time. I'm not doing it, you guys are, but to put together specs when I gotta believe you've got a lot of that already. It looks like a big gap of time that we could cut down.
Yes, we can, but we like to give ourselves some amount of time just in case something happens during the course of time. And let's not forget, the summer is sort of a very bumpy period for most projects because a lot of us want to enjoy the weather, and a lot of people take long vacations during that time, including me. So we're trying to pull a lot now before that whole vacation thing starts, and we've been really annoying to the library staff, but they've been very cooperative in getting us as much information as possible. But we realize that the summer months can be a little tricky to work around everybody's schedule, so that's why we give ourselves a little extra time to catch up on any last minute things. That can definitely, the bid date can definitely be pushed back a little, maybe by a couple of weeks. But again, these are all dates that we think will work best as of now. We'll know better as we move along, but having a firm date on the actual end of construction and staff move-in and library opening dates will certainly help in understanding how much time we have and how to proceed with this properly.
You know what? In my calculation, I left out the month of September. So basically, you've got half of July, August, September, and a week in October. It seems like now it seems really excessive, this time period. Everybody likes to have a cushion, but 2.5 months plus, it's out.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how much time these documents take actually, because FF&E is a lot of little parts put together, and we really are only like 1 or 2 people working on that full time, mostly full time. So it can take quite a bit of time to pull all the information together and put everything in place, and including the specifications, if the front end documents. And of course, we'll be working very closely with the town's purchasing department to get all that done. So we like to give them some time also to review and make sure that all the documents are in place. Like I said, it is possible that we can push the bid date back a little. But
My question, Abby, is that in the end result is the finished construction date's a finished construction date. So
yep,
we don't want to have to, we don't want to have to pay for storage to get all the furniture early and then not be able to put it in the building.
yes,
right? So
that is a good point. Yes, and that's why I insist on having a proper end of project date for construction, because that will really help us understand when things need to be done and by when. Right now, this is a good schedule. There is enough time for all the participants to be able to contribute as and how it moves. So the end date definitely matters a lot.
Well, hopefully in your conversations, with Downs as we go forward, you'll have an understanding of
right, yeah,
how much time they really might be able to shave off and, act accordingly. So, but those are what ifs. But I think, with Clark putting the pressure on you to get the specs out, that looks like one of the biggest or best targets to try and shorten it if you need to gain time. So
right, yeah.
hold that thought. I've got a lot of hands up. I know, Bob, you had.
Yeah, just one thing, it's come to my attention that things like computers, iPads, et cetera, those kinds of things probably can't be paid for from the bond money, or the grant money. And I think we need to check with bond counsel on that, because if that's gonna be in the electronic stuff, then there may be an issue.
Okay, we'll check that out. Thanks, Bob. Patrick.
Thank you, Chair. So Abby, I guess what I'm wondering is sort of a follow-up to what Clark said. I mean, could you take a look at this schedule and can you assume that we, if you're looking at the original date was March, and then the extended date was April, can you take a look and see if those dates were in fact, if we get back to one of those dates, what does that do to your bidding and procurement process? Can you give us another sort of an overlay on this that would show the adjustment, what would happen to those dates?
Well, that would pretty much be the previous schedule that we put out, which I don't know if I have a copy available right away, but that would be because that was showing I think we considered the FF&E installation to happen in March, which means the purchase orders would be issued just before Thanksgiving break. So that this just has pushed us forward a month, right? And if that were not the case, we would be going back a month, which means I can't remember the schedule clearly, but I'm guessing the furniture bids would have to go out like end of September or around that time, which is still doable, I think. But then again, it would be nice if we have a proper schedule to work around.
Yeah, I mean, I think Downs is definitely working towards.
Yeah, we will work with Downs very closely on this and try to get a better dates going.
Okay.
But our targets are basically when the bids go out and when the purchase orders are released, so that we have at least 18 to 22 weeks lead time for all the furniture. Those are the actual important dates. Everything else in here is just more like dates for us to know internally, but we like to put it out so you know also
Yeah.
what we are doing. But definitely the purchase order release date is one of the most important dates, and the actual FF&E delivery and installation.
Okay. Okay, my last question is about that part in yellow. So I didn't know that we had a loading dock on the library, do we?
This
I
is a
didn't think we
standard
have a
standard
loading dock.
language we like to include, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's a loading dock. And then I would also want to see, we'd have to work in when would we expect the paving to be done? Because like you're saying, you're not going to be able to bring in the furniture if the driveway's not paved, so.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's again something we will work closely with
Yeah,
Downs to understand.
okay.
Sometimes it is something that we will be working on probably until it's almost time for furniture delivery. When we do a staging plan and come up with a schedule for how and which furniture vendors are going to come in when. So we'll have a whole calendar prepared for that specifically. That way everyone, including Downs and the owners, know which vendor is coming when to install what, and we'll be able to show graphically which parts of the building will be installing when. So when we prepare those things, we will be closely in touch with Downs to make sure that, you know, the driveways are done and all the various 18-wheelers can pull in and still be able to work around all the other trades that will be working at the same time. We've run into these issues before. We just like to, you know, bring this to everybody's attention. But, you know, problem solving is the name of the game. So as we move along, we will try and find solutions. But of course, we like to be as proactive as possible.
Anthony, you still have?
Yeah, I just have a couple comments. If these things are coming on 18-wheeler semis, they're going to be parking in the road and bringing it in. A lot of these vendors come in box trucks. I don't know if we're going to have the height clearance to get them below into the garage and up the elevator, knowing that they're going to have to hoof it up the stairs, up the ramps to the front plaza and through the door that way. So just be aware of how they're going to logistically, you know, hoof this into the building, whether they park the truck on the busy street over there and police details and whatnot, and they're going to put it on dollies and roll it into the parking garage and up the elevator. It's just something to think about. Even on our end, you know, we always have moving targets with our schedules and with our subcontractors. You know, we pay stored material. So if the subcontractor could provide proof of insurance, photo documentation of the material of the large piece of equipment, VAV boxes, light fixtures, rooftop units, so on and so forth, we get them paid. I don't ever work directly with the vendors of the furniture like you guys work directly with. Abby and Jeff, you guys are obviously way more well-versed in dealing with them. But is there a reason why we wouldn't be able to go the route of stored material? They hold on to it until we have that target date really pinned down. Because, you know, further down the line, you know, we have, you know, some allowance money to accelerate the schedule with premium time to bring that contract schedule back to that March 7th date. And it would be nice to maybe have a stored material, get them paid, and they hold on to the material and get it delivered when they're ready, just like we do with our subcontractors on rooftop units, light fixtures, you know, some heavy equipment. So I don't know what that is like on your end, and if that's something they could do. I just wanted to put it out there. Maybe that's something they could facilitate on your behalf and the town's behalf.
So here's how furniture works. Most of the time, we have local dealers that are able to install the furniture, but usually furniture is coming from somewhere else, some other state, from the factory directly to the site. And the furniture installers meet these trucks, and they are able to unload the trucks and bring everything inside, and then the 18-wheelers leave. Sometimes some vendors are able to directly bring the trucks to their warehouses that are locally located. And then they bring them out in box trucks. Again, I cannot assure you anything at this point because we're not completely sure what furniture we are going to be buying or who the vendors are. Those are all things that will come in later. But storage of furniture will not be cheap. I will let you know that beforehand. I'm not sure how much we would want to spend on storage, because I'd rather spend that money on actual furniture if possible. But that's why we like to understand the construction schedule better, so we can schedule all the deliveries around that same period of time.
Yeah.
So everything can just.
We're not looking to spend any additional money, but like a lot of these subcontractors we work with will physically store the material where they need to store until it's ready. Just for procurement processes like this, such as rooftop units that have a 50-week lead time, and panel boards for the electrical systems that have 35-week lead times.
Look, so just to keep everything moving here, we're gonna have coordination meetings with FF&E and TSKP. The furniture is not gonna be able to come until after substantial completion anyway. So, we'll, especially because of fire marshal inspections and all that. So that's just typical. So we'll have meetings, we'll get it coordinated, and we're right there with you, Abby.
Okay, thanks, Doug.
Right? Yep.
Questions for Ed? Elizabeth?
Yes, I may not be remembering correctly, but I think that Cynthia said we had one of two options to air out the building. One was no one in the building for a month, and then there was another option, but I don't see that on here, and I don't recall what the second option was.
An occupied flush, meaning that the systems run out and they vent and they process the air exchanges to circumvent any VOC contents that might be in glues, adhesives, paints, so on and so forth. It's part of a high performance. It's a lead process. So the calculation changes. It's a factor. So if you have an unoccupied building, it goes faster. If you have an occupied building, there's going to be more air exchanges. It's going to be a little bit longer of a process to meet that lead requirement. That whole plan is actually derived by our mechanical subcontractor who installs and starts up the HVAC systems. So we're actually in the process of getting that over to the design team and RZ for their review and comment.
Okay, well, you gotta pick which method you're doing and plug it into the schedule, right?
Correct. That's
And
usually.
then we all need to know which, how that impacts it.
It should be. We should have a lot. I think we do have a lot.
I think it's in there, but. Okay. All right, Sean?
Mr. Chair, any concern with the committee meeting November 27th for the approval? Do you want to build in 2 committee meetings that time of year in case you don't have a quorum or?
Good point. We will think about that. Okay, no, that's a very good point. Other hands?
Just a quick question for Sharon. Do you have a copy? Did she send you that schedule?
Yes, and I did send it out closer to the end of the day to the whole
Oh,
group. I don't know
okay.
if you all received it.
All right.
Yeah, I
thank you.
got it. Jen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If not, let me know now.
I'm sure it's there.
So Abby, for our July 10th meeting, we're gonna need to see whatever you have for the latest estimate, cost estimate, on all the FF&E items.
Yes.
Realize we won't know what it actually costs till we get all our bids in. But we will need to see where you stand cost-wise, where you think we're at on July 10th, if we're gonna get you to proceed.
Right.
But part of that also, and I guess this maybe goes to Jeff, our budget is that and technology. So I think we're gonna need to know something about where we stand technology-wise on July 10th also, from a budget perspective. An update on those things so we can, take our best shot at moving forward there.
Yes, so as far as FF&E goes, yes, that is the intention. We will have plans, furniture, images, and anything else we can to show you, just like I did with McMahon. to get the approval to move forward. I can't answer the technology part, but
Right, right. Okay, I know that still has some work.
yep.
Okay, anything else on Prosser?
We can have,
Bob?
it's all possible, we have it advanced to the July 10th meeting.
We like everything in advance.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that, but obviously everybody is,
Yeah.
trying to finish their jobs, but if you can get it to us in advance, we would certainly appreciate that.
Will help.
Okay, so anything else on Prosser for Abby? No. Okay, Abby, you've got more for us, right? You're muted.
I'm done with Prosser.
Okay. All right. So, you have McMahon for us, right?
Yes. But I think Jeff will start and then I'll continue on.
Okay.
The only thing I had, I think Mark actually covered most everything, was that basically the rooftop unit was installed on the roof yesterday, so the roofing's done. So still moving on McMahon. So that's all I had in addition to what Mark said earlier.
Okay. Abby?
All right, so we got back FF&E pricing for McMahon. There were two things that came up during the last building committee meeting that I presented the McMahon FF&E and got approval to move forward with procurement. And I want to make sure those concerns were addressed. One was the flip tables that we had, the nesting tables in the out in the adult area. And if you don't remember what that's like, I can pull up that presentation for you. Of course, it's not loading. Yeah.
Oh, I remember.
Okay, so these tables here.
Right.
There was a concern that similar tables were used at 330 Park and there was some damage on those tables. Even though we got the approval to move forward, I was able to go to 330 Park and analyze the issue myself. And to my surprise, yes, those tables were getting damaged. When the tables are flipped and nested, like in this picture here, the bumper of one table was somehow scratching the tabletop surface of the table next to it. And this kind of happened on almost all the tables. I immediately contacted the manufacturer's rep and got her to go to the 330 Park and also see this. She took lots of pictures and she went back to her engineering department. They're still not sure how this happened. And personally, we at the TSKP studio and me and other designers in our office, we have specified these tables before. And one project I would like to mention is the Hartford Public Library Park Street branch up in the second floor community room. We have, I think, about 20 or 30 of these tables installed. We have never heard any complaints in all these years. This was the first time I was seeing this problem, and even the manufacturer agreed that they've never seen this. They are still trying to understand what the problem is. However, we don't have a resolve yet. So I went and changed the specification on those tables. I changed the manufacturer. It's it's a very similar product, but just a different manufacturer's product. Again, we've done those tables also before and have not had any issues with those. So I think that will work. One of the things to notice at 330 Park, not that I need to bring that project up, but just so you are aware, which I was told, was that there were lots of tables, I think at least 30 tables in that room. And it's possible that when a a big group of tables are being pushed away, now flipped and trying to be nested and pushed away. Maybe that pressure from one table was transferring onto the other and creating those issues. That shouldn't be a problem still, is what my opinion is. So that the specification on that table was changed. Another issue that was brought up was the benches in the children's area. There was a concern about maybe having backs on the benches. There was some discussion on that, whether we want the backs or don't have the backs. In the end, I let the library staff make that decision for us. And I think at the existing McMahon project, where they had some benches already, they had some with backs and some without backs, which seemed to me like a nice compromise. So 2 out of the 4 will have backs and the other 2 will not. So both issues were addressed before the specifications went out for pricing. And as for pricing, this is what I received. So on the top are the vendors, the FF&E vendors. We have 4 different vendors. And on the bottom, all that is in green, I set the documents up by manufacturers because the DAS state contract is a contract that's made between the state and the manufacturers of the products directly. And each, there is also the contract number information and it tells what it is. So this is something I would just pass on to Nancy Haynes. So she has all the information in one spreadsheet easily available to start issuing purchase orders. And we received all the pricing, and to give you a quick overview down at the bottom, the estimated furniture cost was $350,737 and change. The final furniture cost, and I just tweaked a few details on some items, which really helped bring us a favorable number in the end. The final cost is $330,474.21, which is about 20,000 less, also about 5.7% under budget, which I think is a very nice number to know. So that's where all the furniture costs came in at.
Something under budget's amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
It's amazing today.
Ripley's, believe it or not.
All right, Abby, you deserve battle pay for,
Yeah.
going
That's fantastic,
going
Abby.
to 330 Park, and doing that work for us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay, do we have questions for Abby? We're gonna look to move forward with this.
Yeah, actually, what I'm looking forward is for the committee's approval to go ahead with issuing purchase orders, because there is a possible price increase expected next month. So before which I'd like all this, all the furniture ordered. And also during when we're ordering the furniture, we need to know, and this question will come up from the vendors, we need to know when the delivery is expected to be. So I don't have a firm date on that. If that is something we can, that information can be relayed to me soon, I'd appreciate that.
Right, we're relying on Public Works for that.
Okay.
As I said earlier, so that's key as well. Lois, did you have a question?
I just wonder whether can we move $20,000 to another category? Or do we just be grateful that we saved it? I'm thinking in particular about the window in the office that people were very concerned about.
Certainly, as these numbers come in, it's all staying there with this project. So yes, we can certainly entertain other things.
Well, I'll move approval of this budget.
Second.
Second, well, we're looking for a motion to proceed with purchase.
I'll move approval to proceed with the purchases as described here.
Thank you.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ike. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, we have a motion that passes. Thank you.
All right.
Abby, thank you again for all that.
Sure, thank you. I will pass this on to Sharon and Nancy tomorrow. Thank you.
Anything else for Abby? Let's move to,
I don't.
oh, Clark.
So, after looking at these bids, there really aren't any competitive bids. On Prosser, will we have competitive bids for the same line items to compare? To be competitive, am I saying that right?
Yes, so McMahon was not competitively bid. We purchased out of state contract, which means it's, it's sort of, it's already pre-bid and all the contract terms are already met. So there is nothing new for us to add. And doesn't matter which vendor we go with, all the vendors would give us the same pricing because it's the state that has the contract with the manufacturers directly. So the vendors don't have a say on how much these things can be. It cannot be, it's not meant to be competitive. But for Prosser, we are looking at bidding the project. We might buy a few items out of state contract, in which case there will not be any bidding for those products. But bidding seems to get us the best pricing. Sometimes the catch is that when we bid, we are expected to accept substitutes or equal products. It might be nice on the budget and the cost, but sometimes it's not necessarily what the library wants, or sometimes we have to come up with a compromise on how that's done. So there might be specific products that we don't want to encourage equal bids on because we want to be able to purchase those products for the library, but most part of it can be bid because a lot of it is tables and chairs that there are a lot of manufacturers out there that can bid. So to answer your question, yes, Prosser, most part of Prosser can be competitively bid.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, Abby, we thank you again. And let's move on to Sean from Colliers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As usual, I'll report on the special testing, still ongoing process. Now they're focused on the steel. As the steel gets finalized with details and moment connections and the weldings, Tri-State will be there. They pass on all the reports to the engineer of record, Michael Horton. And all those reports also continue to go to the town. In terms of commissioning, at this point, Van Zelm is just reviewing the submittals as they come in that pertain to items that will be completed commissioning on. And as Anthony reported, they're trying to continue to minimize the cost of those impacted soils. The steel detailing by continued testing by Tri-State. And on the Riley site, they've been working where they can. As he said, the bridge abutment has already been. That's all I have for this one.
Questions for Sean? All right, appreciate it, Sean. Thank you very much. Sharon GH, you've got a couple of invoices for us.
Two. There is I'm trying to see if I could share my screen.
I think it's probably not necessary. We all have.
Oh, you all have it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that'll be
All right.
okay.
And there is one from TSKP for McMahon for the total of $13,980 for services rendered through May 31st, 2024.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ike,
Second.
by Mr. Berman. So I see this brings the McMahon services up to 68% of fees and FF&E work up to 44% of fees. Questions, comments? Okay, all in favor of invoice 220103-21 in the amount of $13,980 for TSKP, please say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passes. Thank you. One more.
The second invoice, another one from TSKP, also for services rendered through May 31st, 2024. Invoice number 200802-29 in the amount of $36,303.55.
So moved.
This is for Prosser.
Moved by Mr. Reich, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Berman. Thank you. So this is, brings our construction administration at Prosser up to roughly 52%. Brings our FF&E services to 33%, and closes out all the work related to the arborist on the Prosser site. Questions, comments? All in favor of approving invoice 200802-29 in the amount of $36,303.55 for the SKP, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Motion passes. Okay. And that's it for invoices, right, Sharon? Thank you very much. Other items from the committee? See any hands? All right, thank you. Next meetings are the 26th, and then we're into July 10th for our big Prosser FF&E review. Looking forward to that. Public comments, Sharon, do you have a
Why don't you
beat
mention
on?
about tomorrow? Remind everybody about tomorrow.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, before we move to public comments, let's remind, an invitation did go out to signers of the beam on site, and we thank Downs for setting that up. India Rogers has set out invitations, so 5 o'clock tomorrow. We're all invited to come and sign the beam. The beam, I believe, is on the actual Prosser site.
We're gonna set it up by the south gate, and we're gonna try to extend it a little bit farther away from the building, so we might not need hard hats. Might not be a safety
Okay.
concern.
Okay, so it's gonna be the Mountain Ave
Mountain Ave
entrance to Prosser, so
Yeah.
parking is good at the Winterberry Mall or the mini mall or even Ocean
Isaac,
State.
or even we'll keep Riley open if
Yeah.
anybody's comfortable enough to park the car.
I would suggest not trying to park on the Riley side. It's
No.
really congested and you're just gonna cause problems there, so
Couple holes.
park off-site and watch yourself crossing the street.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I thank India Rogers for setting that up for us. Okay, so public. Sharon, do we have members of the public and anybody with their hand up?
No one with hands up. We have members of the public left. No one with hands up.
We bored them to death
Yeah.
tonight. Okay, I apologize. All right, thank you, everybody. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Ike, seconded by Patrick. Thank you very
I
much.
second.
Say aye.
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 All right,
Aye.
we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.